Good evening, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Wednesday, the 24th of June. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of it, learn from it, transfer it to trend charts. I'm not here to achieve trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture.substack.com and is published on YouTube after a delay of a week. All right, sorry I didn't do a webinar this morning, but I do think, to be honest, it's more definite tonight after we saw what happened today. Now, on Sunday, I was talking about this, the potential bull flags that were forming here, and really, I broke this down in the pre-market webinar on Monday into two flags on both ES and NQ. There was the smaller flag, and then there was the larger flag. Now, and I thought that if we were going to break down into the larger flag, then that would likely be today, and we didn't break down, and we've got a nice looking double bottom. And in terms of the historical stats, today was the very bearish day of the week. The next 2 days are leaning neutral to slightly bullish, and then we've got a pretty bullish first 3 days next week, which of course is a holiday week because Independence Day is market closed on Friday the 3rd. So I'm kind of thinking the best day to break down would have been today, and we didn't do it. So I think we're going with the smaller bull flags here, and we're likely, I think, heading back up to the highs. We've got a nice looking little double bottom here on ES, and that hasn't broken up yet, but I think it's going to. And I think in all probability, we're going to head back up to the highs. There is always a possibility we could still break down, but today really was the obvious day to do that, and we didn't do it. So I don't think that's going to happen. All right, so that's where we are on ES. This should get us back up into the flag resistance, which would be this one for the smaller flag. And then I think we head back up to this high here, and then in all probability, we will go back and retest the all-time high because we have unfinished business there. All right, NQ. This is the obvious flag that is there. It is the smaller flag, and I think this is going to take us back up to a retest of the all-time highs. We've got a 60-minute buy signal fix here that fixed this morning, and that hasn't reached the target yet. And we've got a less good bottoming setup here, and I'm wondering. Well, I'm thinking we probably don't see any low retest, but I'm wondering about it. Okay, RTY. RTY, we've been hanging around near the highs here anyway. YM, we've been hanging around near the highs here anyway. I would expect to see those retested and probably taken out with some confidence. At this point, if we're going to see a retest of the high on DAX, I would expect to see that happen. ESTX, pretty near the highs already. NQ, Nikkei, we had a possible head and shoulders forming here, but it's currently gone the other way. So I think we're probably going to go straight back to the highs there too. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Now, looking at SPX, middle band, we spent the last couple of days below. We've been testing the 50 DMA. I was commenting that that was a pretty good place to find support, and I think we're going to find support there. So obviously, bigger picture, we've still got RSI 14 sell signals fixed on all daily charts, but I think, well, obviously they're going to be there. That's on the US indices, but I think they're going to be there obviously after a retest of the high as well. In terms of the hourly chart, we've got no current divergence, 15-minute chart, no current divergence either. So, but I think I've drawn in the flag here, and I think we're going to head back up to the highs now. We could still go down, but I'm not expecting to see that happen. In terms of the Qs, we got back below the daily middle band. Obviously, both SPX and the Qs need to break back above those, but I'm thinking we'll see that in the next couple of days going into next week, which is, of course, another holiday week and a big one. Hourly charts, no current divergence. Worth the mention, went a little higher than 50 there, so no buy signal there really by my usual reading. We do have a bit of positive divergence and a 15-minute buy signal I'm fixed on the RSI 14. 15-minute. Okay, Dia never got close to the daily middle band. 15-minute charts, well, we've not really had much of a retracement there. I think we will be back at a retest of the highs. I am thinking that we've got a pretty decent looking rising wedge here, and I'm wondering what happens with that after we retest the highs, but it could be that it's going to extend higher, maybe turn into a channel. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at the IWM chart. And IWM, We've got same daily sell signal fix hanging around near the highs. We are already overthrowing the obvious trend line, and I'm thinking we may be working up to another, and I'm probably going to run another one through. Well, I'll look for the best trend line, and I'll probably have a good look at that this weekend. Hourly chart, no current divergence. 15-minute chart, no current divergence. This was a nice looking topping setup. I thought that might deliver, but obviously I think it's reasonably obvious that it's not going to happen. DAX, I'm wondering about a retest of the highs here. Pretty much held the daily middle band, and Nikkei never challenged the daily middle band either. I'm wondering about this as a possible rising megaphone. We'll see whether it breaks above it on the next move up. All right, let's have a look at currencies. DX is proceeding higher. We had a sell signal that failed today. That wasn't unexpected, and the the buy signal on USD failed as well. Making good progress up. We've made it up to 101.5. I'll talk more about that after I've had a quick look at the hourlies. USD going down nicely. The buy signal failed today. GBP USD buy signal is still hanging on, but actually that reached possible near miss target. So no, sorry, we're not on a buy signal there. This is actually holding up fairly well, bearing in mind there's some political turbulence in Britain at the moment. USD JPY has still not made it to 162, but I'm thinking that should be pretty soon, subject to government interventions, of course. USD CAD trending upwards nicely. Australian dollar getting pretty close to the head and shoulder target in the 68.75 area, and NZUSD has made it to the double top target. So we are making good progress to the upside. We've still got a 60-minute buy signal fix on NZ, and we've still got another one fixed on Australian dollar. But I think the dollar is likely to continue up from here, although it is a little bit overdue for a retracement. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts, and US dollar. Okay, bigger picture, we are heading towards the double top target, double bottom target, which is in the 104.572 to 105.259 range. The last low was at 97.62, and we have proceeded up slightly over 4 from there, and we've got another 3.7 minimum to go, taking us up into this area here. So at the moment, I'm not seeing anything suggest it isn't going to make that target. We are looking a little overbought with no current negative divergence. Bigger picture, obviously, we've got the big bull flag here, and I'm wondering, technically, this setup would normally end up at a retest of this huge high in 2022, I think, at 114.79, but I'm not really expecting to see that, but we will see how it goes as we get through. At the moment, we're breaking over the week to middle band, and then we've got the 50-week moving average, which I've got currently at 103.02 to get through as well. USD, obviously, we've got a mirror, distorted mirror bear flag. GBP USD, we've got a distorted mirror bear flag too. No current positive divergence on USD, no current positive divergence on GBP USD, which is now testing the main rising support trend line. If it breaks through that, we've then got double top support at 1.301. I'm going to, this weekend, I'll put in where that target would be as and when this double top breaks down. UUSD has got an open target down in the 1.1019 to 1.1085 area, 855 area, and that's basically a mirror image, distorted as always, of the double bottom that's broken up on US dollar. USD JPY, I'm still waiting for that retest of 162. We haven't quite made it yet, but we're very close. Doesn't need to stop there. I've got open area above up into about the 169 area where trendline resistance is. Nothing really to see on the daily chart, apart from it could probably use a retracement soon, and the latest sell signal obviously failed. USD CAD, I've got the main resistance up here in about the 1.48 area, and I'm thinking we may well be heading there. Nothing to suggest that we aren't heading there at the moment. This is looking really overbought here. We've broken up for a double bottom here with basically a target at the retest of the February high at 1.4793. Australian dollar, we've got a double top set up here, and we're pretty close. This is larger than the head and shoulders, of course, which is here. That double top support is at 0.6833. I think it's going to break down, and it's got a shot at making the target. I am wondering if we might see a right shoulder form here, but I'm not really expecting to see that size of a bounce. This is a perfectly acceptable asymmetric double top. In terms of NZ, not really. I'm seeing, obviously, we've got got obvious support down here in about the 0.55 area. Wouldn't be surprised to see that break down, but that would be this triangle breaking down rather than having any kind of a target or expanding into a larger pattern of some kind. We shall see. If we were to make the obvious main support trend line, that would be across here at about the 0.43 area, I think. That's a big move, but it could be doable. All right, NZ on the daily chart, no current positive divergence. All right, let's have a look at bonds. Okay, bonds have been heading up a little here, and I've got a possible trend line here, but it's not a high confidence one. Doesn't look like we're topping out here. We've got a weak sell signal fixing at the moment, so I haven't marked that divergence in. ZN, we've got a pretty decent looking rising wedge, which could be a bear flag, which is why I'm giving the other one some credence. We shall see. But to do that, we really need to head down from here, possibly with a decent looking sell signal on ZN if we see a retest of this high. Looking at the bigger picture charts on those, TYX, we've got this nice looking head and shoulders here, which is broken down with the target in the 46.95 area, and we're now getting close to halfway to target. Obviously, that would, if we are going to make that target, that would involve going significantly higher. And actually, I haven't marked it in. We've got a possible daily RSI 5 buy signal brewing here, which I'll be keeping an eye on. Looking at TYX and TNX on the bigger picture, obviously we've got potential inverted shoulder neckline, head and shoulders forming on both, and I'm watching both of those carefully. If we see a major loss of confidence in the Treasury, which I wouldn't be surprised from, because this administration is spending like, you know, drunken sailors, and obviously pretty close to zero economic confidence. So it may be that there is a crisis of confidence in the bond markets. If it wasn't for the fact the US has a reserve currency, there already would be a serious amount of tightening in the bond markets. And as it is, you can see the last 4 rate cuts we had, real interest rates, which are actually not set by the Fed, but are set by the bond markets, in the shape of these yields on the 10 years and the 30 years, actually went up. And that was the Fed showing that it no longer controlled interest rates to any significant degree. Looking at TNX, we have a triangle breaking up. FVX, we've got a triangle breaking up. And TLT, we've got a triangle which is not yet broken down, but I would expect to break down in due course. This is saying that after we see whatever upside we see on bonds at the moment, we are likely to see more downside than that. So I'll be watching that with great interest. We've got an IHS which is broken up here on TLT. That's got a target in the 89.3 area. All right, let's have a look at oil, which was doing very interesting stuff today. All right, looking at oil. I have no idea what's happening here on oil here. This makes absolutely no sense, but nonetheless, I've been watching out for setups, trend lines, watching that carefully. I've got a nice looking falling wedge here on Brent, and actually it's down at the bottom of the trend line or under throwing slightly. But the really important thing was we've actually the last buy signals played out pretty well. Previous one had failed, of course. I think we've got a buy signal coming up here, and it's forming at the moment. Might go a little lower first, but I think we're going to see another bounce. I'm hoping it's stronger than the last bounce, which didn't really show up on the daily chart. This one needs to show up on the daily chart. But I think we've got a possible 6-minute buy signal brewing here. Pretty decent looking trend line setup. Slightly less nice looking wedge here, all on CL, although that's trend lines have already moved, which is really annoying. So because I only actually drew it in about half an hour ago. I've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing here. It looks nice, and I'm thinking we're probably going to see a bounce here too. Do we have an obvious trend line here? And I gotta say, no. Not really, which is why we've only got the one trend line here, and I'm just using this one. This is a decent trend line. We're underthrowing it slightly now. We shall see whether that holds. But it's a nice looking setup, and I'm thinking we're probably going to get a bounce. HO has been holding up a lot better than Brent and WTech. Consolidation might need a retest of this low, which is slightly worrying. RBOB, RBOB, we've got a nice looking double bottom here now. No current positive divergence. These two have not been going down the way the others have, but I'm encouraged by the double bottom here and slightly concerned about the what looks like a bearish triangle forming on HO, but we will see. Looking at NQ, we had a nice little reversal here. We broke the rising support. We may, of course, not. That doesn't mean the trend is breaking. Not seeing a great reversal pattern here. We had a nice little head and shoulders here, which went so fast I didn't mark it in. This is a large head and shoulders, but I think it's probably too large, but we will see. If we see a reversal up in about 3.32 area, then maybe. In terms of the bigger picture charts, let's have a look. Street of Hormuz currently seeing 48% chance of returning to normal by July the 31. I'll have a quick glance for a laugh at June 30th, which is 4%. Personally, I think that seems kind of high. Given that June 30th is now being, well, it's less than a week away and it needs to be fully open for a week. In terms of by July the 31st, there's some optimism here, but I think we are some way from it being back to normal. I think one thing I've been doing some reading up here, I'm hoping to do a deep dive on this in the next 2 or 3 days, maybe over the weekend. But basically, half of the Strait of Hormuz has been kind of a bit open all the way along and is actually seeing quite a lot of traffic at the moment. We're no longer seeing quite as much of a problem in terms of the insurance rates. That's in the last couple of days, that's gone down to 10 times the normal rate, which is a huge improvement from 100 times the normal rate, which is where it was, which is extreme risk. It's now down at high risk, which is an improvement. We are seeing some oil coming through there, and that is going to help. However, we've got, I've got these charts up at the moment. All right, bear with me a second. All right, let's have a quick look. Reference, okay. Right, I've got a variety of sites here, but the one I was looking for was. All right, there's two things to say here. Okay, this actually only goes to. This actually only goes to here. This is the current time. This is a projection of where they're expecting it to be, but it's not where we are now. Let's say August, September, October 27. So at the moment, this is how far crude oil production has come down, not deliveries. Production has come down in OPEC, and you can see it's down about 10 million barrels a day. Now that whole thing hasn't hit the market. We've got there has been some reduction in demand, and there has been the Chinese haven't been buying, which has taken about 2 million plus barrels a day off demand. If they start buying again, that could change. And of course, I've been reading that there's 150 million barrels of Iranian production down, and if we're actually, IEA is saying stocks are falling at 4 million barrels a day, approximately 3.8, and if 150 million barrels of Iranian oil gets sent off to market now, because that's certainly not being restricted by the Iranians, then that actually will hold up, and that will help out for quite a while and delay any further problems. But there is no doubt that an awful lot of the stores are getting pretty low, and we're reaching tank bottoms fairly soon. So what does this mean? Well, it means it's going to take a while for this production to come back up. There has been a bit of replacement production. Venezuela's been producing some more. US has been producing some more. This is all help. But stocks are still reducing. They're likely to continue reducing, and that's going to be a problem. So I still think there may well be an oil crisis ahead, but I'm less certain than I was. But it still looks likely. In terms of where we are in the insurance, hang on. Sorry, I had this. Where did I have this earlier? Okay, I might need to find that. But this morning, I was looking at the insurance rates on them, and the insurance rates are only at 10 times current levels. I'm saying only because that actually is a considerable improvement. So we will see how it goes, but I can't actually find that offhand now, unless it is here. Nope, it isn't. All right, I'll need to dig up the place I was looking at that, but I've got a place where I look for the daily insurance rates, and those are improving. Some more is coming out. It's going to take a while to get Middle East production back up to snuff. If the Chinese stop buying, then that's going to add a whole load of demand back in. They've just been living on their stocks the last couple of months, but really, oil prices should be an awful lot higher than this. They really should. Now, Mr. Global on YouTube has a theory that basically all of these announcements and crooked dealings, announcements from Trump that everything was about to be fine, and all the manipulation of oil prices, etc., has actually scared a lot of people out of the market who would normally be in there. And maybe that's the reason this has actually come down more than it otherwise would have done. We will see. But whatever happens, I'm thinking we've got a good chance of seeing a bounce soon. This is on the Brent chart. On the hourly chart, we've now got a nice RSI 14 buy signal brewing. W-tick chart, we have the same. Last time we saw this, we saw a pretty decent bounce. It wasn't decent enough, however, to show up on the daily chart. You can see we've got no positive divergence here. What I would like to see is a bounce that actually shows up on the daily chart and gives us a chance of getting some positive divergence on the daily chart. We will see whether we get it. The same exactly on W-tick. Now, in terms of heating oil, it's a different picture. It's not come down nearly. It's not come down nearly as much. Although it would, for that reason, be easier to get a daily RSI 5 buy signal, but it wouldn't be as important for that reason either. In terms of gas oil, we've actually already got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed. I'm thinking that may well deliver. On the hourly chart, only minimal positive divergence, and it's not showing quite a retest of this low here, which I have got on the other. Might need a little lower to hit that. We will see how it goes. But I'm liking what I'm seeing here, and I'm thinking we may well see a bounce pretty shortly. In terms of natural gas, still keeping an open mind. Bigger picture, there's a solid case for going back and testing 1.696. Against that, this is a fairly bullish period of the year in terms of gas usage. So you often find price drifting up, and I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing a rally which lasts a while and then go down and hit that target. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at precious metals. Now, on Sunday, I was saying that there was a pretty good chance we were going to go back, or at least, I don't know, I did a lot of webinars, so I might have been talking more about this in the pre-market videos, but I think I was talking about this probably heading back into the lows here, and it's gone back and retested the lows. This gives us a nice looking level bottom, and we've got the 6-minute buy signal fixed. I am liking the upside here. So let's see whether we get a reversal. SI went back and retested the low too. We had a sell buy signal there which failed. We've got another one which is brewing here. I'm liking the odds of this delivering. And I've also got this very nice looking falling wedge here, which I was drawing today. So I am liking the odds of seeing some support here and a reversal back up, because this is what I was looking for. Were we going to have to retest this low? What would happen when we got here? I'm liking the upside. Palladium also retested the low, nice looking potential level bottom. Platinum retested the low. Don't have a double bottom here, and I'm wondering if we're going to need to go down and hit this trend line here, which I've got currently at about the 15-10 area. But looking pretty good. We had a buy signal here that failed. No big issue. I wasn't that surprised to see that fail, or the silver one fail, because the obvious targets were below, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. HG making some tracks to the downside here. I'm thinking we've seen a retracement finish on probably finish on equities here. I'm thinking we're going to go back up and retest the all-time highs on ES and NQ, and I'm thinking at this point, if we are going to see another retest of the high on HG, then we're probably going to see that. Let's have a look at the precious metals. All right. In terms of gold, no current positive divergence, nice looking potential level bottom. We are still in, of course, the very nice looking bull flag channel, and actually there is a double bottom here because it's becoming a little oversized, because we've got double bottom here and we've got a double bottom here. This could get us back up into a retest of the all-time highs, and I was looking around at all the people who are giving up on that happening. I'm thinking that makes this quite a good time. We've got a possible daily RSI 14 buy signal break. Looking at silver, we retested the low here as well. We've got a possible overall double bottom here as well, which should take us back to a new all-time high. No current positive divergence. The RSI 14 cell signal on the daily chart has now made the full target. On palladium, nice looking little double bottom. We broke up from the nice looking wedge. We could be expanding, but this looks more like bottoming action with a double bottom here with resistance at 1383. In terms of platinum, we've got a possible RSI 5 buy signal, sorry, RSI 14 buy signal break. Possible bottoming action here. Nothing I would say was as clear as a double bottom here at the moment. But if you have a look, sorry, I'd been doing the hourly charts, but I haven't actually redrawn here. As it's gone lower, I'd be inclined to redraw this trend line from there. And where does that land up? A little lower. Yeah, that's what I was saying about the future charts. I'm concerned it needs to go a little lower to the obvious trend line here, and we might well see that. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at copper. Copper, I'm wondering about a retest of the high, but I would say that this little double top here, because I'm saying this was a nested double top, we've actually broken down from the first one with the support at 610, and we've got a target, which is in about the, 55. That would be in about the 5.55 area down here, and that would get us pretty close to the double top support. So we may already have started breaking down, but if we go back and retest the high, we would set up a slightly better nested double top. So I am thinking that is a possibility. Our weak RSI 14 sell signal is fixed, and we've now reached the possible near miss target. In terms of GDX, I'm liking a move up from here. Nice looking double bottom here on GDX. We've got a decent looking, well, not quite, maybe a little lower ideally, but okay looking double bottom here on GDX. J, and if we look at the hourly charts, no current positive divergence, a little more back and forth tomorrow morning, and we can fix that too. We shall see how that goes, but I'm quite liking the upside here as well. So metals, generally, I'm feeling we've made the targets to the downside, and I'm feeling bullish about a move up. All right, let's have a look at KC. KC has retested this high. We're still in potential topping pattern territory here, so I'm wondering if that's the case. We've got a weak, possible weak 6-minute sell signal brewing as the last one made the possible near miss target. So we will see whether we see a reversal here, in which case the first sign of a real break will be a solid break below the monthly pivot at 266.95. Although that is, of course, only the monthly pivot till next Tuesday. SB, wondering about a reversal back up. We made the target of the retest of this low. CC, the head and shoulders failed, and the obvious target on a failure over head and shoulders is, of course, a test of the previous high. We've gone back and tested the previous high. We've still got a weak 60-minute sell signal here. I had to measure, but it has just survived. We may well lose that if it goes any higher. Looking at lumber, we've got a nice little breakdown and retracement here. Bigger picture, leaning towards the downside. Smaller picture, wondering if we might see a retest this high. Possible head and shoulders forming here, keeping an open mind. CT, wondering about bottoming action. ZW, wondering about bottoming action. Corn, wondering about bottoming action. Decent looking little level bottom here on soy. I'm wondering about bottoming action. No obvious pattern here at the moment. ZL, we've got a head and shoulders which is broken down with a target in the 65.50 area, and I'm wondering if that's going to make it. I'm thinking it might. Live cattle, we've still got an open target above at a retest of this high here because we had a head and shoulders fail here too, and that would be in about the 251.50 area. HE, this looks like a bear flag forming, and the buy signal has reached the possible near miss target. I'm thinking we're owed a retest of this low in about the 93.9 area, and then that could be the second low of double bottom as when we get there. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And soybeans. No, coffee first. All right, coffee, we're seeing a nice little rally here, and we've broken up over declining resistance, and we're testing the coffee weekly middle band. So watching to see what happens there. I would say that we've got a possible daily RSI 5 sell signal brewing here, and it's nice. So it may be that we've just been seeing a rally here and it will fail. What I would also say, though, is we've got an inverted head and shoulders here. It's quite nice, and it's broken up. And now it could fail back into the lows, but either it fails back into the lows or in all probability, it's going to head up into a target, which would be in about the, it's been a long day. Maths is slightly slower than it would be normally. That would be in about the 315 area up here. So watching that with great interest, it is a nice little pattern. and it's got a shot. But I've got to say, possible daily RSI 5 sell signal brewing. I'm wondering, and a decent looking little double top here. We will see. All right, looking at the daily chart, we've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed. Monthly chart, we've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed on sugar, and I'm thinking we're due a big rally. We've got a very nice looking falling wedge here. It hasn't broken up yet, but it wouldn't take an awful lot for it to break up. In terms of the daily chart, RSI 14 sell signal has reached possible near miss target. Nothing really to see. No obvious reversal pattern yet. This was a higher low. It's still making okay double bottom, but I really do prefer it when the second low is a lower low because it cuts down the chance that it's a flag form. All right, cocoa, the monthly RSI 14 sell signals reached possible near miss target. We have been seeing obviously a bit of a rally here, and looking at the daily chart, we had an RSI 14 sell signal fix, and that is hanging on for dear life and has so far survived. But if we go any higher, we're going to lose it. Could this be a double top forming? Potentially, but it really would need to reverse right now. In the short term, we've got the 200 DMA at 47.93, and you can see it broke today. So waiting to see if that follows through, because if we see a breaking conversion of the 200 DMA, well, that opens up potentially a move up into this possible IHS neckline area in the 64.40 area. All right, looking at lumber. Lumber on the weekly chart, no current divergence. Obviously, we've got a very nice bearish setup here, which is still refusing to deliver, but would be a slow one to die. We've been seeing a bit of a reversal off the highs. This could give us, if we retest the high from here, a daily RSI 14 sell signal brewing on a retest of this high. Do I have possible trendline resistance up here? Yes. And I'm wondering about a move up into the 660 area to hit that. All right, looking at cotton. Cotton broke up from the double bottom, made target, possibly is done. Waiting to see if this is going to follow through to the upside, or just possibly retest the high and then fail there and head down to the lows. Looking at the daily chart, we've still got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed. Looking at wheat, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the weekly. We could be forming a head and shoulders here to take us back to the lows, which I'm watching with interest. We do have a double bottom, which is already broken up with a target in the 739 to 742 area, but I think a lot of the fertilizer that was there was a serious problem because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz was actually replaced really from other sources. I think prices are still up, but it doesn't look as though there will be a serious crisis from that. We shall see. In terms of the wheat chart on the daily, we've got the daily sell signals already made the possible near miss target. If we do see a retest of the low here, that could set up a nice looking smaller double bottom. So we should see. So this could all just be a retracement, but you can see why I'm thinking there's possible head and shoulders here, although it's a bit oversized. All right, looking at corn. Corn, we have a possible weak RSI 5 buy signal brewing. That would be on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, we've got a possible RSI 14 buy signal brewing and a weak RSI 5 buy signal, which is already fixed. Wondering about the low here. Nice looking potential double bottom. Soybeans. On the weekly chart, we've got a little bit, I think we retested the low here. No, we haven't quite retested. When we do, we'll get some positive divergence here on the weekly chart, and on the daily chart, we will get a possible daily RSI 14 buy signal brewing, and we've already got a weak RSI 5 buy signal fixed. All right, great. Let's have a look at crypto. Now, crypto had a very interesting day. Now I was thinking if we saw ES break down today, then we'd see the retest of the lows, but actually they retested them anyway. So the bear flags that have been forming here for the last few days have now made their targets, and this has set up potential double bottoms. Now, is this a bear market low? I don't think so. I think it's at least 2 months early. Doesn't mean it can't be. And I've got to say, we've got a nice looking nested double bottom here if it was the bottom of the bear market. But as it is, we've got a nice looking double bottom here, and I'm expecting equities to be up for the next week. I think this double bottom's got a shot at playing out. This has got resistance in about the 67.3k area, and it's got a target in about the 75 area if it is reached. We will see how that goes. But it's a nice looking little setup, and we've got, hang on. we've got a possible daily RSI 5 buy signal brewing, albeit a slightly weak one because we didn't make it back to this 30 level. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence at the moment, 15-minute chart, and lovely looking double bottom. All right, Solana didn't quite make it back to the retest of the lows. And that's not because there wasn't a bear flag there, but it hasn't quite made it. And actually, if you have a look at Ethereum, it hasn't quite made it there either. Now, I was chatting to someone about this today, and I was saying this left unfinished business below, and it does. We may well find we see a decent rally here too. As I said, I didn't think this would be the end of the bear market anyway. So if we see a rally here on Bitcoin, it doesn't mean that we're not going to go lower afterwards. But it would be nice to see a rally and get an opportunity to sell from higher. We shall see. All right, great. In that case, I think it's a wrap. Everyone take care. I'll catch you guys again on Sunday. Cheers.